So earlier we talked about the use of subcooler. Now what we are going to do here, we have studied that superheating is beneficial in some case of refrigerant, and subcooling is also beneficial. So what if we combine both these, superheating of vapor and the liquid subcooling, in a single heat exchanger? So in that case both of our purposes will be served. So that type of heat exchanger is known as liquid vapor regenerative heat exchanger. Okay, so how we will utilize it? Let me draw the diagram, and then I will explain how it is being done. Okay, so let me start from the evaporator. Let us say here we have the evaporator. Okay, now after coming from the evaporator we have this saturated vapor. Okay, now the saturated vapor comes over here, then comes here, and then goes in a heat exchanger. Let us say here this is the heat exchanger present. Okay, and after coming out from the heat exchanger, these go to the compressor. This is the compressor over here. Let us say this is a state 1 dash, and from here the state is 2 dash, and after compressor where does it go? It goes to the condenser. So here we are having the condenser. In the condenser what happens? The heat is being rejected, and after rejecting the heat it goes to the again the heat exchanger, and this heat exchanger then goes to the expansion valve, and then it is again connected to the evaporator. Okay, these are the various states that I have represented over here. This is state 3. Okay, now this thing present over here, this, let us say this is also circulating. This is the liquid vapor regenerative heat exchanger. Liquid vapor regenerative heat exchanger. Okay, liquid vapor regenerative heat exchanger. Now what is happening over here? We are seeing that after compression the refrigerant is in the superheated state. It goes to the condenser, rejects the heat, and after that we need to provide the subcooling. That means we further decrease its temperature, so it goes to this heat exchanger, and in this heat exchanger it actually releases the heat, because it is being subcooled, so it will release heat. It is releasing the heat, and after that it goes to the this throttling expansion valve, and throttling is done. Then it goes to the evaporator, rejects the heat, so it takes the heat from the substance to be cooled, that is QE, and after that it again goes to this, and here we have this superheating done in this heat exchanger, and it takes the heat from the subcooler. This is the part of subcooler, and this is the part of superheating. Okay, and after that it again goes to the compressor. Okay, so if we represented this process now on the pH diagram, how does it look like? Let us see. Okay, so I am drawing the adjacent pH diagram that is involved over here. This is our vapor dome. These are the two pressures that are involved. Okay, and we start from here. Let us draw our original cycle. Okay, this is 1 2 3 4. This is our original cycle. This is the condenser pressure, this is the evaporator pressure, let us say P naught. This is the pressure line, this is the enthalpy line, and now I am representing the subcooling from here 3 to 3 dash, and then the throttling, that is the 4 dash, and for superheating, after passing from the evaporator, let us say it goes to 1 dash, that is the degree of superheating, and then we have this 2 dash. Okay, and so this is representing over here, this is TK, this is TK temperature, this is T3 dash, this temperature is T1 dash, this temperature is T1 dash, and this temperature here is T1. Okay, so now what happens over here? You can see that from here now we are heating, that superheating is done from this. So the heat for this superheat comes from the heat released from this water during its subcooling. So this is the change that occurs in the pH diagram. Now a point to be noted here is that this part of heat exchange is not actually helping in the refrigerating effect, because this heat is actually passed from the condenser to the refrigerant vapors. It is not utilized in the evaporator, or the heat is not taking from the cooling space. Okay, so it is generally increase the efficiency, but it does not take part in increasing the refrigerating effect. Okay, now we talk about its mathematical formulations. Okay, so for talking about the we know that mass flow rate will be same throughout the heat exchanger, because there is nothing at any point that mass is being divided. It is same throughout the whole circulation. Okay, so I am using the energy balance for this heat exchanger. Let us say mass flow rate at 1, that is from compressor. It goes, okay, so let us say state here is 1 after passing from evaporator. From this diagram we can note from 1 to 1 dash is what? Superheating. So this is h1 dash minus h1. This is due to the superheating effect, which is equal to this subcooling in enthalpy change, which is m3 dot into h3 minus h3 dash. Okay, now since the mass flow rate is same, that means m1 dot is equals to m3 dot. Okay, so what we will be having, h1 dash is minus h1 is equals to h3 minus h3 dash. Okay, which can also be written as Cp vapor, because this is the superheating in the vapor region. T1 dash minus T1, and which is equals to Cp liquid in this case, because this is the subcooling. Okay, that is T3 minus T3 dash. Now a point to be noted here is that Cp vapor is not equal to Cp liquid. These are different specific heats. Since these two are different, that means that the degree of subcooling and the degree of superheat are different. That means the increase in temperature over here and the decrease in temperature over here, these are going to be different. Okay, so degree of superheat is not equal to degree of subcooling. Okay, this is the inference that is drawn from here. So in practice what happens, the suction volume per ton, okay, per ton means per ton of refrigeration, the suction volume, that is the volume available at the inlet of the compressor, is reduced for R12 refrigerant. Okay, but for some other refrigerants like free and 22 and ammonia, the suction per ton and horsepower required per ton of refrigeration actually increases. These are the facts, you don't need to remember that, these are just for knowing actually what happens. Okay, and however the volumetric efficiency actually improves with the superheat that we have provided over here. Okay, and we have already studied that superheating is beneficial in some cases of refrigerant, not in all cases. Okay, and so this was all about this liquid vapor regenerative heat exchanger. In the next video we will talk about the actual vapor compression refrigeration cycle. Okay, thank you.